The Archives Call. Commander Kira Winters stood at the observation deck of the Mnemoscene, Earth's most advanced memory vessel, watching the endless stream of data crystals pulse with ghostly blue light. Each crystal contained fragments of civilizations that had long since turned to stardust, their songs, their stories, their final moments preserved in lattices of quantum-encoded memory. The ship's AI chimed softly. "Commander, we're detecting an anomalous signal from the Carina sector. Pattern matches pre-extinction transmissions." Kira's fingers danced across the holographic interface, bringing up the signal analysis. After 15 years in the preservation court, she'd learned to trust her instincts. This was different. The transmission structure was unlike anything in their archives, a complex, fractal pattern that seemed to fold in on itself endlessly. "Run it through the temporal filters," she ordered, her dark eyes reflecting the shifting patterns. The results made her breath catch. This isn't an echo. This is live. Within hours, the ship's primary crew had assembled in the command center. Dr. Reddy Patel, their xenolinguist, hadn't stopped pacing since he'd seen the initial analysis. "The language structure is remarkable," he said, gesturing at the hovering displays. "It's like they're speaking in 4 dimensions simultaneously." Marcus Blackwood, their preservation technician, leaned forward, his weathered face grave. "If they're still broadcasting, we might not be too late this time." The weight of those words hung in the air. Too many times, the preservation court had arrived only to find empty worlds and scattered artifacts. Their mission was to preserve the memory of dying civilizations, but saving one. That was the dream that kept them searching. "The signal's origin is the Meridian System," announced Zara Singh, their navigator. Her augmented eyes flickered with calculations. 3 weeks at maximum slip space velocity. Kira made her decision. Plot the course, and notify Earth Command that we're invoking Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega, the emergency directive that authorized immediate intervention in cases where a civilization might still be saved. It had only been used twice in the court's history. As the Mnemoscene prepared for slip space transition, Kira retreated to her quarters. The walls shimmed with embedded memory crystals, her personal collection from a decade and a half of preservation missions. She approached one that glowed with a soft amber light, touching it gently. The crystal activated, projecting the image of her mentor, Admiral James Harrison, from his final mission briefing. "Remember, Kira," his hologram said, "we're not just preserving data. We're keeping their dreams alive. Every civilization sees the universe in a unique way. When one dies, we all become a little bit blinder." The ship shuddered as it entered slip space, the quantum engines pulling them through the fabric of reality. Kira spent the journey studying everything they could decipher from the Meridian transmissions. They were an ancient race, far older than humanity, who had built their civilization around the manipulation of quantum consciousness itself. Their entire society is based on the preservation and transfer of memory, Ravi explained during one of their briefings. They don't just record their experiences. They live them, share them, merge them into collective understanding. Marcus frowned at this. "That makes our usual preservation techniques useless. We can't just copy their data. We'd be saving empty shells without the essence of who they are." "Then we'll find another way," Kira said firmly. "This is what the Corps was made for." When they finally emerged from slip space, the Meridian System took their breath away. A binary star cast golden and violet light across a sprawling network of crystalline structures that spanned the space between worlds. But the beauty couldn't hide the signs of decay. Fractures in the massive structures, dimming lights in what must have been cities. "Life signs?" Kira asked. Zara's augmented eyes flickered. "Scattered. Weak. But present. They're still here." As they approached the largest structure, a vast crystal lattice that pulsed with internal light, their communications array lit up with a transmission. The message unfolded in their minds like a flower blooming, carrying not just words but sensations, memories, emotions. "We are the Meridians. You have come far to find us. Our time grows short, but perhaps you are the ones we have waited for. The ones who understand the weight of memory. Kira felt tears in her eyes, though she couldn't have explained why. She squared her shoulders and opened a channel to respond. They had 3 weeks until the quantum decay reached critical levels. 3 weeks to save not just a civilization's memory, but the civilization itself. "This is Commander Kira Winters of the Earth Preservation Corps," she transmitted. "We're here to help. Tell us what you need." The response came not in words, but in a cascade of images. Stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, the lonely task of remembering it all. The Meridians weren't just another dying race. They were the guardians of countless others' memories, preserved through their quantum consciousness technology. If they fell, they would take with them the last traces of 1,000 extinct species. "Well," Marcus said softly, "no pressure." Echoes of the lost. The Meridian Archive City stretched before them like a forest of light, each crystalline spire housing billions of quantum-encoded memories. As Kira led her team through the translucent corridors, their footsteps triggered ripples of luminescence, echoes of consciousnesses stirring in their crystal sleep. "The degradation is accelerating," Marcus reported, his preservation scanner painting worried lines across his face with its holographic display. "The quantum matrices are becoming unstable. When they go, they'll take everything with them." Ravi walked beside him, his hands moving constantly as he worked to translate the complex streams of data flowing through the walls. It's not just their own memories at risk. The Meridians, they're like the galaxy's librarians. They've been collecting and preserving the consciousness of dying species for millions of years. Their guide, a Meridian who had introduced themselves as resonants of ancient songs, moved like flowing mercury through the corridors. The being's crystalline form shifted between states of matter, sometimes solid, sometimes seeming to dissolve into pure light. "We began as seekers. Resonance communicated directly into their minds. When we discovered our ability to preserve consciousness, we thought we had conquered death itself. But we did not understand the price." The team entered a vast chamber that seemed to contain a miniature galaxy. Points of light swirled in complex patterns, each one, Kira realized with a start, representing a preserved consciousness. "How many?" she whispered. 37 trillion individual consciousness patterns," Resonance replied. "The combined memories and experiences of 8,412 species," Marcus swore softly. "That's more data than every computer on Earth combined. How could we possibly preserve it all?" Zara, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. Her augmented eyes wavered as they adjusted to the patterns. "We're thinking about this wrong," she said. "We're trying to save the data, but that's not what the Meridians preserve. They preserve the experience itself." Resonance's form brightened. "Yes, you understand. We are not databanks. We are memory incarnate." The chamber shifted around them, and suddenly they were standing in the midst of an alien city. Beams of pure energy danced through crystal towers that sang with their movements. Kira knew this must be a memory of the Meridian's past. "We learned to hold the memories of others within ourselves," Resonance continued as the scene changed again, showing them a dying world where crystalline beings gathered around a species of gas-phase intelligences, somehow capturing their essence before their sun went nova. But the weight of so much memory, it changed us, changed our very quantum structure. The vision faded, leaving them back in the archive city. But now Kira could see what she'd missed before, the subtle fractures running through everything, the way the light sometimes flickered and jumped like a failing computer display. "Your consciousness storage matrix is degrading," Marcus said, finally understanding. "You're not just losing data, you're losing yourselves. Yes, the weight of memory has become too great. Our physical forms can no longer contain it. We are shattering." Ravi had gone pale. "And when they shatter, all those preserved consciousnesses will be lost forever," Kira finished. She turned to Resonance. "How long?" 19 days. Less, perhaps. We have held on as long as we could, searching for a species that might understand, that might help us find a way. Zara stepped forward, her augmented eyes glowing. The quantum signatures, they're similar to our memory crystal technology, aren't they? Just vastly more complex. Yes, this is why we called to you. Of all the young races, humanity alone has learned to preserve memory in crystalline matrices. You are crude copies of what we once were, but in you, we see a shadow of ourselves. Then maybe that's our answer, Kira said slowly. We can't save you by copying your data. But what if we could help you evolve? Find a new way to store and process all that consciousness. Marcus shook his head. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical. And we'd need some kind of intermediate storage while we developed a new matrix. Then maybe that's our answer, Kira said slowly. We can't save you by copying your data. But what if we could help you evolve? Find a new way to store and process all that consciousness. Marcus shook his head. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical. And we'd need some kind of intermediate storage while we developed a new matrix. What about the Mnemoscene? Zara suggested. Its quantum cores. No. Resonance's form pulsed with urgency. Your ship could not contain even a fraction of what we preserve. We would burn through its systems in seconds. Kira watched the swirling lights above them, each one a preserved soul, a unique way of seeing the universe. To lose all this, it would be like gouging out the galaxy's eyes, leaving it blind to its own history. Then she noticed something about the pattern of decay in the crystal walls. It wasn't uniform. Some sections were degrading faster than others, almost as if. Resonance, she said carefully, you're not just preserving these consciousnesses, you're processing them, thinking with them, aren't you? The meridian's form flickered. We could not help it. So many minds, so many ways of seeing. Over time, we began to dream their dreams, think their thoughts. We became more than ourselves. And that's what's killing you, Ravi breathed. Your original consciousness matrix wasn't designed to process this much complexity. You've been evolving, trying to adapt, but it's happening too fast. Yes, we are becoming something new, but we will not survive the transformation. Kira looked at her team, seeing the same realization dawn in their eyes. The Meridians weren't just preserving history, they were becoming it, transforming into a new form of collective consciousness. And they were dying in the process. There might be a way, she said finally, but it's going to require something from us that the Corps has never attempted before, something that could change humanity forever. You have an idea? Yes, Kira said, watching the lights swirl above them. But first, I need you to show us everything. Every step of your evolution, every change you've gone through. Because if we're going to help you transform, we need to understand what you're becoming. Resonance's form brightened until it was almost painful to look at. Then let us show you what it means to become memory itself. The chamber dissolved around them as the Meridian began to share not just their history, but their very essence. And as the knowledge poured into them, Kira prayed she wasn't about to make a terrible mistake. The price of memory. Back aboard the Mnemoscene, Kira faced the skeptical faces of her crew. The holographic display between them showed her proposed solution, a hybrid consciousness matrix that would merge Meridian quantum technology with human memory crystal architecture. Let me get this straight, Marcus said, running a hand through his graying hair. You want us to become living conduits for their consciousness transfer? Use our own brains as temporary storage? Not exactly, Kira replied. She manipulated the display, showing the neural interface designs she'd developed with Resonance's help. We'd be more like processing nodes. Think of it as teaching them how to dream differently. Zara leaned forward, her augmented eyes rapidly scanning the specifications. The quantum resonance patterns are compatible with human neural architecture. Barely. But the energy requirements will be handled by the Meridians themselves, Kira finished. They've been containing the power of trillions of consciousnesses for millennia. They just need our help to restructure it. Ravi had been unusually quiet, studying the ancient texts he downloaded from the Meridian archives. "There's precedent for this," he said finally. "The Meridians helped other species evolve their consciousness before they began preserving them instead." "What went wrong?" Marcus asked. "Nothing went wrong," Ravi replied. "They succeeded. Those species transcended their physical forms entirely, became beings of pure consciousness. The Meridians, they weren't meant to be a permanent archive. They were meant to be guides." The revelation hung in the air between them. Kira watched her crew process this information, seeing the mixture of fear and wonder on their faces. "This goes way beyond our mandate," Marcus said finally. "We're supposed to preserve civilizations, not transform them." "Are we?" Kira challenged. "Our mission is to prevent the loss of unique perspectives, unique ways of seeing the universe. If we help the Meridians complete their transformation, we're not just preserving their consciousness. We're helping it evolve into something new. Something that could change humanity too," Zara added softly. Kira nodded. "Yes, the neural interfaces will leave traces. Whoever volunteers for this, there'll be change. They'll carry echoes of the Meridian consciousness forever." "How many volunteers do we need?" Ravi asked. 7, Kira replied. "One for each major consciousness cluster, and we'll need to maintain the connection for at least 72 hours while their new matrix stabilizes. The risk of mental contamination," Marcus began, "is significant," Kira acknowledged. "But we're running out of time. The decay is accelerating. In less than 2 weeks, the largest repository of consciousness in the known galaxy will be lost forever." She looked at each of her crew members in turn. "I'm not ordering anyone to do this, but I will be one of the 7. Silence fell over the command center. Then Zara stood. "My augments might help stabilize the neural interface. I'm in." "The linguistics could be fascinating," Ravi said with a small smile. "Count me in." Marcus sighed heavily. "Someone needs to monitor the preservation equipment. Might as well be inside the process rather than watching from outside." Within hours, 4 more volunteers had stepped forward from the crew. As they prepared the neural interface chambers, Kira met with Resonance one last time in the crystal forest of the archive city. "You understand that this will change you?" the Meridian asked. "The weight of memory, it is not a light burden." "We understand," Kira replied. "But humanity has always been defined by our ability to change, to adapt. Maybe this is why we developed our memory crystals in the first place. Maybe we were always meant to help you take this next step. Perhaps, or perhaps you were meant to take it with us." The interface chambers were installed in the heart of the archive city, each one a cocoon of crystalline technology and neural monitors. As Kira settled into hers, she saw her fellow volunteers doing the same. Zara, Ravi, Marcus, and 3 others who had chosen to help bear the weight of history. "Neural interfaces online," Marcus reported, his voice already sounding distant. "Quantum resonance patterns stable. Beginning consciousness transfer in 3, 2, 1. The world dissolved into light. Kira found herself floating in an ocean of memory. She saw the birth of stars through the eyes of beings who had evolved in gas clouds, felt the joy of photosynthesis through the memories of crystalline life forms, experienced the grand migrations of energy beings between galaxies. But more than that, she felt the Meridians themselves, their ancient purpose, their gradual transformation, their desperate search for a species that could help them complete their evolution. We were meant to be bridges, their collective consciousness shared with her, between what was and what could be, between memory and possibility, between the physical and the transcendent. Through the haze of merged consciousness, Kira sensed the others. Zara's precise, augmented mind helping to structure the chaos, Ravi's linguistic expertise finding patterns in the flow of thought, Marcus's preservation instincts helping to stabilize the transfer. They were not just preserving memory now. They were becoming part of it, helping to weave a new form of consciousness that could hold the weight of history without shattering. Hours blurred into days as they worked to guide the transformation. Sometimes Kira thought she could feel her own consciousness dissolving, becoming part of something vast and incomprehensible. Other times, she felt more herself than ever, as if all these accumulated memories were helping her understand what it truly meant to be human. And through it all, she sensed something else building, a new way of being, neither fully meridian nor fully human, but something that transcended both, a bridge between memory and possibility, just as the meridians had always meant to be. The universe, Kira realized, had been waiting for this moment, for two species, each carrying half of the solution, to find each other and help create something new. As the 72nd hour approached, she felt the transformation reaching its crucial point. Everything they were, everything they had been, hung in the balance. It was time to find out what memory could become. Resonance. The transformation began with a whisper. At first, it was like watching a sunrise in reverse, the brilliant chaos of merged consciousness slowly coalescing into new patterns, new structures, new ways of being. Through the neural interface, Kira sensed the change rippling through the archive city, felt the quantum matrices reshaping themselves according to the template they'd helped create. It's beautiful, Zara's thoughts brushed against hers, tinged with the precision of her augmented mind. Look how the consciousness patterns are realigning. The dying crystalline architecture of the meridians was becoming something else, not quite physical, not quite energy, but a state of matter that existed somewhere between thought and reality. Through their shared consciousness, Kira understood that this had been the meridians' destiny all along. They had needed humanity not to save them, but to show them how to complete their metamorphosis. Then the whisper became a scream. Quantum cascade. Marcus's voice cut through their merged consciousness. The transformation is destabilizing. Kira felt it. A dissonance in the harmony they'd created, like a wrong note in a universal symphony. The new consciousness matrix was rejecting some of the older memory patterns, treating them like a virus. No, she realized with horror, not rejecting, protecting. The matrix thinks the older memories are threatening the new structure. Through their shared awareness, she felt Ravi's understanding merge with her own. The oldest memories, the first civilizations the meridians had preserved, were too rigid, too set in their patterns. They couldn't adapt to the new form. "We're losing them," Zara reported, her augmented senses tracking the dissolution of ancient memory structures. 30% of the archived consciousnesses are already gone. Kira reached deeper into the merged consciousness, searching for resonance. She found the meridian's essence scattered throughout the new matrix, both everywhere and nowhere. "Help us," she projected. "These are your memories, your charges. We can't let them disappear." Perhaps Resonance's thoughts came back fragmented. This is the true price of evolution. To become something new, we must let go of what we were. No. The word echoed through both physical and mental space as Kira rejected the idea. Evolution doesn't mean erasure. Change doesn't mean forgetting. She pushed herself further into the consciousness matrix, feeling the others follow her lead. Together, they reached for the dissolving memory patterns, trying to hold them together through sheer force of will. Through their neural interfaces, Kira glimpsed fragments of dying worlds, last thoughts of extinct species, final songs of civilizations long turned to dust. Each one was unique, irreplaceable, a way of seeing the universe that would never exist again. Our neural patterns, Ravi's voice came suddenly, filled with excitement. They're stabilizing the old memories, something about human consciousness. It's acting like a bridge. Kira understood in a flash. Human brains were designed to adapt, to constantly rewrite themselves while maintaining continuity. They could hold contradictions, embrace change while preserving the past. Everyone, she broadcast through their shared consciousness, stop trying to protect the memories. Start remembering them. Make them part of you. She felt the others understand, felt them open themselves to the flood of ancient memories. Their human consciousness began to act like a filter, translating the rigid old patterns into forms the new matrix could accept. The process was overwhelming. Kira experienced lifetimes in seconds, the birth of stars through eyes that perceived gravity as color, the dance of quantum particles through minds that fought in symmetries, the slow thoughts of plasma beings who lived for millennia in the coronas of suns. Through it all, she held onto herself, letting the memories flow through her but not wash her away. This, she realized, was humanity's gift. Not just the ability to preserve memories, but to experience them while remaining whole. The quantum cascade began to stabilize. The new consciousness matrix adapted, learning from the human minds within it how to hold both past and future, both memory and possibility. You have shown us a new way. Resonance's thoughts came clearer now, more focused. We thought we had to choose between preservation and evolution. You have shown us how to achieve both. The transformation resumed, but differently now. Instead of a simple progression from one state to another, it became a fusion. The ancient wisdom of the meridians merging with the adaptability of human consciousness to create something that had never existed before. Through their neural interfaces, Kira and her team watched as the archive city transformed. The crystal spires didn't vanish, but rather shifted into a new form of matter that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. The preserved consciousnesses weren't just stored anymore. They were alive, interacting, growing. Amazing, Marcus breathed. They're not just memories anymore. They're becoming dreams. He was right, Kira realized. The new matrix wasn't just preserving the past. It was using it to imagine new possibilities, new ways of being. The weight of memory that had been crushing the meridians was becoming a foundation for unlimited potential. As the 70-second hour drew to a close, Kira felt the transformation reaching its completion. But she also sensed that there would be no going back, not for the meridians, and not for the humans who had helped them change. They had come to preserve the civilization. Instead, they had helped birth a new form of existence, one that would change their understanding of consciousness, of memory, and of humanity's place in the universe forever. The question was, were they ready for what came next? Legacy of Light. 3 days after the transformation, the Mnemosyne's observation deck offered a view of something that had never existed before in the known universe. The Meridian Archive City had become a shifting aurora of consciousness, its spires now towers of living light that pulsed with the thoughts of trillions of preserved minds. But it was the changes in the human volunteers that truly marked how profound the transformation had been. The neural traces are permanent, Marcus reported during their final medical examination. His own eyes now held subtle shifts of color, reflecting the quantum patterns they'd all internalized. We're still human, but more. Kira watched geometric patterns dance across her skin, a visible manifestation of the memories now woven into her consciousness. We knew there would be changes. The question is, what do we do with them? The 7 volunteers had gathered for one last meeting before they would have to report back to Earth Command. Each of them had been altered in unique ways by their connection to the new consciousness matrix. Zara's augmented eyes now perceived quantum probabilities as clearly as visible light. Ravi could understand any language instantly, catching the deeper meanings that flowed beneath the words. You are the bridges now. Resonance's thought touched their minds. The Meridian's new form was a cascade of shifting possibilities, simultaneously more focused and more vast than before, between what humanity is and what it could become. Earth Command won't know what to make of this, Marcus said, gesturing at the transformed archive city. We were supposed to preserve a dying civilization, not create a new state of existence. Perhaps that's exactly what preservation should mean, Kira replied. Not just keeping things as they were, but helping them become what they need to be. Through their residual connection to the consciousness matrix, they all felt the truth of it. The Meridians hadn't needed saving. They'd needed evolution. And humanity, with its unique ability to adapt while maintaining continuity, had been the key. "The real question," Zura said, her quantum-sensing eyes tracking probability streams, "is whether humanity is ready for what this means. The meridians aren't just a repository of memory anymore. They're a doorway to a new kind of existence." Kira moved to the observation window, watching the dance of consciousness that the archive city had become. "Maybe that's why we developed the way we did. All our struggles with memory and identity, our constant balance between changing and remaining ourselves. It was preparing us for this moment." "Yes," Resonance agreed. "Your species holds a unique position in the galaxy's story. You understand both the weight of memory and the necessity of change. You can help others make the transition, as you helped us." "There will be those who fear this," Marcus warned, "who'll see it as a threat to human identity, and others who will want to rush into it without understanding the responsibilities it brings," Rathi added. The linguist's words now carried subtle harmonics, expressing multiple layers of meaning simultaneously. Kira turned to face her transformed crew. "Then we'll have to show them. Not just tell them about it, but help them understand what it truly means. We gained something precious here, not just new abilities, but a new way of seeing existence itself." Through their shared connection, she felt their agreement. They had been changed, yes, but they were still fundamentally themselves, just operating on a broader spectrum of consciousness than before. "Earth Command is waiting for our report," Zara reminded them. "What do we tell them?" Kira smiled, feeling the weight of trillion preserved memories shifting through her transformed consciousness. "We tell them the truth, that we discovered something extraordinary, not just about the meridians, but about ourselves, about what consciousness can become when we stop trying to merely preserve it and start helping it grow. And we will help you," Resonance promised, "as you helped us. This is just the beginning." The transformed archive city pulsed with possibility. It's like carrying the combined wisdom of thousands of civilizations. But now that wisdom wasn't just preserved, it was alive, evolving, dreaming of new forms of existence. As Kira prepared to transmit their report to Earth, she felt the truth of what they'd achieved. They had come seeking to save memory, but they had found something far more precious, a way to make memory itself come alive. The preservation core would never be the same. Neither would humanity. But perhaps that had been the point all along. In trying to preserve other civilizations, they had discovered a path to their own evolution, not away from what they were, but into a fuller version of what they could become. As the Mnemoscene's quantum transmitter powered up, Kira felt the echoes of countless civilizations within her transformed consciousness. Each one had contributed something unique to the universe's story. Now humanity would add its own chapter, not just as preservers of memory, but as bridges to what memory could become. The future was uncertain, but it was bright with possibility. And somewhere in the quantum dance of consciousness that the archive city had become, ancient minds dreamed new dreams, preserved memories sparked new possibilities, and the galaxy's story continued to unfold in ways that no single species could have imagined alone. It was not an ending, but a beginning. And as Kira began her transmission to Earth, she knew that the real work of preservation, of helping consciousness itself evolve while keeping its essential truths intact, was just beginning. When all others are gone, humanity remembers the fallen. But now, perhaps, we can do more than remember. We can help them live again, in ways they never dreamed possible. The archive city pulsed once more with living light, and the next chapter of existence began.